Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So I have another reaction video today. I want to discuss something that a longtime rapper said recently. And what came to mind when he said what he said was some articles I did at blackbraziltoday.com about 10 years ago. And I thought there would never be a time that I would reach back and discuss those videos and, what they meant until he said that. I'm like, I guess I could cover it one day. And, this just presented me the opportunity to pull up a couple of these articles from 10 years ago. You'll see why in a minute. But today's video, the slums have not won. Rapper Marcelo D2 says he is bothered by the blingification of today's Brazilian music. Well, I've seen a lot of twists and turns going on in Brazilian music, particularly the more modern music these days. When you talk about what they call funky, the funk music that's coming out of Brazil. There's been changes in hip hop. I'm not a big fan of funky. A lot of people are into it. It's, to me, I've said that funk and rap, although they're together, they're not. They're kind of like two different genres. And how that works in Brazil and how it works in the States. In the States, when you think about that, the fast beat type of music that was really inspired by the Planet Rock back in the day, that Miami bass sound, that's really what funk, it's considered a part of the hip hop genre. In Brazil, you have funk and you have hip hop, right? They're kind of together, but they're kind of separate genres. Whereas in the United States, I see that, the fast electronic beats, that it is part of the hip hop community, but at the same time, the other side is hip hop. Whereas in Brazil, they're kind of their own categories. So anyway, I want to get a little bit into what Marcelo D2, why he said that, right? Because it speaks to, again, these videos that I put out, or these articles that I did about 10 years ago. I can't believe it's been 10 years since I did those. But for people who are not familiar with this genre of music in Brazil, it'll be new to your ears anyway. So before I get into this video, make sure you like it, share it, consider subscribing to the channel and click on the notification bell. With that said, let me just get into the video for today and the reaction. Okay, so this is popular rapper Marcelo D2. Dude has been around since, I don't know, maybe the mid to late 90s. He's one of the first rappers that I got into coming out, when I started checking out all things Brazilian, Marcelo D2, Racionais MCs. At the time, there was, who was it? Let me see, MV Bill. These are some of the first rappers that I got into when I started checking out Brazilian music. So before I get started, one of the things that he's referring to is this saying, this slogan in Brazil that says "A favela venceu," which means the slums have won. It's a popular slogan. It's a slogan that you hear everywhere. I thought it was just a few people who said that, but when you look for the slogan and you look for it in music, you find that a lot of people are using this slogan. Basically, they're saying the slums, the favelas that surround major cities in Brazil, or even smaller cities, saying we've gotten over, the favela finally won. The favela being poor communities, where people earn, they don't earn a lot of money. They're subject to police violence all the time. Some favelas lack the basic necessities, sanitation and running water. It just depends. I've been in favelas where it was like they're living quite well for living in a favela, and I've seen other favelas where they still had dirt on the floors. So this is the experience of living in a favela. And I guess the idea for me would be, how can the favela win? How could it have won? The only way the favela wins is if the favela is no more, because nobody needs to live there anymore. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because Marcelo D2 talked a little bit about it. The promotion of what they call funky ostentação, right? It's like ostentatious rap. It's like rap where you're showing off just consumer products and goods. It reminded me much of the bling bling era of American hip hop, which is what the two articles from 2014 was pointing out. It was almost like they looked at the bling era of American hip hop and just like totally copied everything. The expensive cars, the fat gold chains, the yachts, the women shaking it up in the videos. It was almost like a carbon copy of what you saw in the United States. in late 90s, early 2000s rap, right? Marcelo D2, he's talking about like, look, the reality of the favela still applies today because it's still a lot of people living in poverty. Police come in shooting first and ask question later. Just how many hundreds of thousands of people have been killed in favelas by police raids who claim they're going in against drug trafficking, and innocent people just get gunned down by the police. As I said, there's favelas where people are living pretty decent, and there's others where people lack the most basic necessities. I'm going to talk a little bit about the favela if you've never heard of this. And then my problem with the idea that the slums have won, a favela venceu, is the individual success versus the overall state of the community. There have been numerous artists, rappers, singers, funk singers, soccer players, athletes of all sorts who have come out of the favela and gone on to do well. But just because you have individuals coming out of these favelas and doing well, it doesn't mean the favela has won. It means a few individuals who have gotten there and want to, give inspiration to others who live in the favela saying you can do it too. But individual success does not represent success for the entire community. That's one thing that I definitely wanted to point out. So what is it that Marcelo D2 had to say? Again, the slums have not won. Marcelo D2 criticized the current generation of rap just before performing on the Sunset stage at the Rock in Rio Festival on Sunday, September 15. When asked by journalists what he thought of trap, a subgenre of rap that's currently very popular, especially with a younger audience, he expressed annoyance at the ostentation present in the lyrics. The music, I think, is kind of timeless, right? There's this movement nowadays of these younger guys. I really like Travis Scott's show. I thought it was really cool. I think there's one thing that bothers me a bit about this new generation, which is this ostentation thing. I think it's effing trap, I think it's really bad trap. It's a bad trap. This talk that the favela won. What else? Okay, the favela didn't win. No, the favela is still starving, dying of hunger, without basic sanitation, without help, so we still have to fight a lot for this, because I still really believe in what Emicida said a lot, which is even though it's after us, it's something that's been in rap for many years, that the street is us. It's not me, Today, technology sometimes puts you there and makes you lazy, right? Put it there and let the machine do it, okay? Because in the end, man, it all becomes yogurt commercial music, okay? Punk rock was swallowed up by the system, rock and roll was swallowed up by the system, and rap is no different, right? So you heard what Marcelo D2 had to say about this. I mean, what he's saying is, and I have to agree with this, because what I'm saying is genres like hip hop and then Brazilian funk and then even Brazilian hip hop, the music industry will look at this like this music will never go anywhere. It's a flash in the pan. It's never going to stick around too long. And then years later, when the powers that be come to find out that this music has the consumers are buying this is the latest fashion, people want to hear this stuff, then they start investing in it, and then it starts to go commercial. This is something we saw in hip hop, and this is why I'm not a fan of today's American rap. They've totally just destroyed the music. You want to find decent, to me, I know a lot of people might like rappers from today. They just don't move me. They don't move me the way hip hop was made in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, all of the 90s and then parts of the, first decade of 2000s. But I'm not a fan of today's rap. It's, when the machine takes it over, it loses its essence. That's what I'm saying. It's become a commercial product. He's right to say, all of these type of music genres were swallowed up by the system. Once the system saw the commercial potential, they say, okay, how can we water this down enough to market it to the masses? We've seen it in almost every musical genre, So Marcelo D2 is seeing this going on in Brazilian music as well. He talked about Emicida, another popular rapper from Brazil. Emicida has his own clothing line. He's made documentaries, a lot of successful, CDs, a lot of successful videos. One of the most popular rappers that come out of Brazil in the last 20 years. Let me see what else we got here. Marcelo D2. Who is Marcelo D2 for those of you who've never heard of him? Marcelo Maldonado Gomes Peixoto, better known as Marcelo D2, is a Brazilian rapper, lead singer of the band Planet Hemp, who today wants to continue his solo career and a side project with the return of the band Planet Hemp. Famous for mixing samba with black music, he has made several partnerships with artists from other genres, such as Ashe music, and with people who make electronic music beats with their mouths, popularly known as beatboxing. Currently, one of his main partners in shows and tours is Fernandinho Beatbox, who makes some effects in his songs and is always called on stage to entertain the audience with his hits. His nickname, D2 or D2, comes from Dar Dois, which means to be literal about it, it just means pass, pass, pump, puff, puff, pass. That's actually what it means. That is to smoke marijuana in the jargon of users, right? Puff, puff, pass, Dar Dois. Marcelo D2 emerged in Brazilian music in 1995 with Planet Hemp's debut album, Usuário, a debut that showed for the first time the virtues of authentic hip hop made in Brazil. The sound was heavy, surrounded by Brazilianness, real life, and the lyrics that discuss marijuana discrimination and freedom of expression. The second CD, translated as, what you can say, Os cães ladram, as caravana não para. The dogs bark, but the caravan doesn't stop, from 1996, already had a broader theme with a social vision, addressing the massacres and police violence in Rio de Janeiro. The album also signaled new directions. In Hip Hop Rio, for example, Marcelo sings, sou do samba, sou do reggae, sou do soul, mas também sou hip hop. So he says, I'm from the samba, I'm from reggae, I'm from soul, but I'm also from hip hop. There's also the bossa nova that precedes the song 100% Hardcore and the re-recording of a long-time popular song, Nega do Cabelo Duro, the hard-haired black woman. At this time, the siege surrounding the approach to hemp issues was closing in. In 1997, the planet, even spent a week in jail in Brasilia. So, obviously they're part of the Puff Puff Pass community, and sometimes they're going to spend some time in jail over that. This is the Planet Hemp. With a name like Planet Hemp, I mean, what else could they be about, right? In 1998, he took a break from the group, recording the album Il Tiro e Onda, which mixes samba and hip hop. This fusion, however, would only be recognized and consecrated in 2003 with the release of A Procura da Batida Perfeita, which means looking for the perfect beat. His first solo album. Between Marcelo's two solo albums, Planet Hemp also released A Invasão dos Sagaz, Homem Fumaça in 2000 and MTV Live in 2001. It's one thing I got to say, when I discovered Marcelo D2, I really appreciated how he was able to fuse classic samba and put it to a hip hop beat. This is the album, one of the first albums that, got me into Marcelo D2, A Procura da Batida Perfeita, again, looking for the perfect beat. You'll find a lot of Brazilian rappers will take songs from the American hip hop catalog and literally translate them and make another song using the same title, but in Portuguese. They translate the titles, like MV Bill had a song out called, I think it's called Seu Deus Pode Me Julgar, which means only God can judge me. Of course, we know the popular Tupac song that has that same title. In 2004, he released Acústico MTV or MTV Acoustic. His third solo album is Meu Samba é Assim, whose songs contain autobiographical lyrics and which shows, in addition to samba and hip hop, a diversity of influences from different strands of rap. In 2008, Rolling Stone magazine released its list of 100 greatest artists in Brazilian music, placing Marcelo D2 in 73rd place. These are just some of his album covers here: Il Tiro e Onda, Procura Batida Perfeita, Acústico, and Meu Samba é Assim. Okay. Marcelo D2 is known for being the pioneer of hip hop mixed with samba, and this is clear in his solo discography. However, we can find eclectic influences in his music, from classic samba like Bezerra da Silva, João Nogueira, and the punk of Dead Kennedys, the funk of Kool and the Gang and James Brown, the hip hop of African Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, Run DMC, Public Enemy, and Beastie Boys. We can also mention here the influence that Chico Science had on Marcelo, even going so far as to have tracks very similar to the music of the prominent Pernambuco composer in his repertoire. When he began his solo career, especially after his second CD, Marcelo D2 underwent a clear evolution in terms of maturity and style. Of course, anybody who's into world music might remember the music of Chico Science. I think he died in a car accident, 25, 30 years ago or so. The Chico Science sound revolutionized Brazilian music. It was just like a mix of so many different things: Brazilian styles, hip hop, a little bit of rock. Chico Science, again, for the era that they came out, they were influenced a lot of Brazilian music that was coming out at the time. It was just a mix of so many different styles. If you're not familiar with Chico Science, definitely check out that group. Chico Science being the leader of the group. Nação Zumbi was the name of that group. In terms of the subject matter of his lyrics, Marcelo D2 can be considered an atypical MC on the Brazilian scene. Although violence in the favelas and the suburbs, police abuse, drugs, and political corruption are present in his lyrics, his ability to tell everyday themes and nights spent in the decadent and bohemian neighborhood of Lapa in Rio de Janeiro is points away from hardcore. A positive theme around marijuana advocacy and more danceable rhythms make their success transversal in Brazilian society, generally dotted with prejudices and stereotypes that associate hip hop with delinquency and marginality, which favors its rejection by the middle class. Now, what is a favela? For those of you who are not familiar with what is a favela, I've seen so many of these videos and pictures of favelas. You know a favela slum in Rio, particularly when you see one, but a lot of them look the same throughout the country. What is it and how did it come about? Favelas do not always have precarious housing conditions and people living below the poverty line, which I already mentioned. There's quite a diversity of socioeconomic levels in the favela, right? Just don't assume because people live in a favela that they don't have running water and sanitation. Those are the lower level favelas. There's a lot of people who do a lot of great things as they put their money and whatever they earn and they put it into their homes. And, a lot of these favela houses actually look pretty good when people keep adding to, keep putting more resources into their homes, right? A favela is a degraded area of a city characterized by precarious housing, poverty, and a lack of security tenure, according to the definition of the United Nations Human Settlements Program. However, this description no longer applies to a part of the communities in Brazil where houses are built with brick and cement to last for years. Many homes have running water, electricity, garbage collection, and internet access. Due to the law of adverse possession, residents can even obtain regularization of the property. People didn't always have rights to the land that they built on. A lot of people didn't have addresses, but the favelas have come a long way since the era when they started springing up. A lot of slaves who were, after the abolition of slavery in 1888, they started building just shacks with whatever materials that they could find. The favelas have come a long way, and particularly in the last 20 to 30 years. Anyone who has visited a favela can attest that most of them are vibrant places full of life and activity. The residents of favelas, Brazil's favelas, are responsible for generating 120 billion reais per year, a higher income than 20 of the 27 states in the country, according to the research by the Data Favela and Locomotiva Institutes. 27 states. I always said Brazil has 26 states plus a federal district, called Brasilia. Another photo of a favela. What is the origin of the term favela? Writer and journalist Euclides da Cunha was sent by the newspaper O Estado de São Paulo to cover the Canudos War. In his classic Os Sertões, he described a hill where soldiers camped and built temporary shacks. The vegetation on the hill was a thorny plant known as favela, very common in the Northeast. When some of the combatants returned to Rio de Janeiro, they asked the government for permission to build houses on the Morro da Convidência, the Providencia Hill, how you would translate that. So the favelas are built on these hills that surround, the major, like the distance, the favela can be side by side with what they call the asphalt or the more middle-class neighborhoods. They'll often be side by side, but you find the favelas mounted in the hills of the surrounding suburbs of major cities. The improvised living conditions were once again a reminder of the hills of the Canudos favela. How did they emerge? In addition to the soldiers, slaves freed after the abolition of slavery in 1888 also settled on the wooded slopes of Rio de Janeiro's hills. Without the income to pay rent for properties in the formal market, they decided to build their own homes. Without resources, residents ended up occupying lots on unsuitable land such as floodplains and steep slopes, mainly on the outskirts of the formal city, in regions lacking the infrastructure and services necessary to characterize a city. The boom of favelas, however, occurred between the 1940s and the 1980s. During this period, the Brazilian population went from 40 million to 120 million, with the percentage of the urban population jumping from 31 to 67%. So irregular occupations multiplied. What is the largest favela in the world? 1 billion people live in favelas, according to the definition of what a favela is, according to a report by the United Nations. In Brazil, this number reaches 27 million people in 734 cities, according to the Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics. Oranjetown is considered the largest favela in the world. The conglomerate of more than 100 informal settlements is located near the city of Karachi in Pakistan, is the home to estimated population of 2.4 million people. The largest Brazilian favela is Rocinha in Rio de Janeiro, with around 180,000 people in less than 1 square kilometer of land. That's hard to believe. This forces residents to build houses that result in structures of up to 11 floors. So that's a little bit about favelas. You can't say enough about favelas. It's a vibrant culture there. They're just regular people. Police will always label the favelas as a place of danger because you do have that crime element, dope dealing and such. But the average person, probably like 97, 98% of the favela population are just everyday hardworking people. So this is why Marcelo D2 said what he said. It's like, how can you say that the favela has won when the favela still exists? People still have poverty. Some are still lacking the basic necessities and just, sustainable living, running water, sewage, garbage collection. The favela wins when you don't need a favela anymore. That's what I would say Marcelo D2 is saying. Definitely have to agree with that, but they have tried to commercial the favela where you got like tourism buses going through favelas. They've appropriated like the funk coming out of favelas, anything that can be made with money. I've even seen where politicians now are using like funk and, funk singers for their own campaigns. It's kind of like what we see in the States when you see an election coming up and they want to hire popular rappers to get people out to vote. It's kind of the same thing you see going on in Brazil these days. So I want to talk a little bit about, again, okay, a favela venceu. These are just a few of the flyers you can find online. There's literally, as I started doing a search with this phrase, a favela venceu, I found just flyer after flyer after flyer after flyer, promotions of parties, promotions of CDs, songs, artists promoting the slogan, the favela won, right? But again, just because a couple good artists come out of the favelas, it doesn't mean that the favela has won. Now, Marcelo D2 is talking about how he's become disappointed or bothered by this ostentation that's going on in Brazilian music. He talked about Travis Scott being, an artist that Rock in Rio, whenever it happens, it's a popular show that I think it happens yearly. This one just ended a few days ago on September 22nd, but you see a lot of international artists. Kate Perry was there, Travis Scott, Cyndi Lauper, Ed Sheeran. All of these artists appeared, and several more. You got a lot of these artists over here. Mariah Carey showed up. Will Smith did an incredible show, from what I understand. I got to talk a little bit about that in the coming days. Rock in Rio attracts, like I said, it's attracted international acts as well as Brazilian acts for a number of years. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about what Marcelo D2 was talking about, bling blinging, particularly in funk, but it's taken over in rap now. This is from January 2014, how bling is done in Brazil, ostentation funk videos. You can just look at some of the images. I'm not going to play the videos here because, YouTube, it'll be a copyright infringement or it'll be demonetized, but you just see the images here. It takes you back to, what comes to mind when you see some of these images? That's what I think about. It was almost like they sat and watched BET videos for a couple of hours during the late 90s and early 2000s and say, hey, let's do this with funk. Music to bling to hits Brazil, ostentation funk. Party videos bring the cash, ass, and plenty of A. You know what I'm saying? So, what comes to mind when you see these videos? I'm not going to play them, but the images speak for themselves. You got, every MC wants to come across as a playboy. Guys tossing around cash. This is MC Nego do Borel. A lot of people know who he is. You got the you got the background. Okay, so he's balling enough that he can have ships, boats, whatever. As quatro coisas. This is MC G7. What else we have here? This is another video. Daquele jeito. Okay, the woman, the flashy car. He's got the chains, the glasses, the baseball cap on. They're posing in front of these nice homes or whatever. All of these places are obviously rented. We've known about this from hip hop artists for years. Like, they don't own these houses, they rent them out, to give you this fantasy in a video. Okay. Okay. So you got women in the video popping them. One other thing that I had in a video from some years ago is that in American hip hop of the late 90s and, up into the first decade of the 2000s, the video vixens in most of those videos were mostly black women with a splattering of Latino women and maybe a few white women. In Brazil, like the article that I did years ago, you see mostly white women in these videos, or white or just light-skinned mestiza types, right? And it's like, okay, how did that happen? But that's, it is what it is. This is Brazil. They still, even as a favela, the standard of the beauty is the lighter the skin. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. Okay, so these are just some images from some of the videos. I mean, what do you think about that? Another thing that happened a few years later, in 2014, I mentioned MV Bill in a previous video. And in 2014, MV Bill is known for his politically, socially, and racially conscious lyrics. He's one of the first rappers. He came out of that first generation of popular rappers in the late 90s, early 2000s that had something to say in his lyrics. MV Bill was part of an MGO. He did a documentary on the drug trafficking going on in favelas. Some of the things that are going on with the women in the favelas. It was a book. It turned into a documentary. So MV Bill was highly respected as a conscious rapper. So then in 2014, when he came out with a video called Vibe da Noite, the night, the night vibe, he's surrounded by the women, they shaking it up. I think he had a drink in his hand. It was just like, people were disappointed with that. People were calling him out like, dude, I thought you were supposed to be one of the real ones. How come you selling out to this blingy image? Vibe of the night is really what, how you translate it. And MV Bill comes out of that generation. So people were kind of disappointed. I mean, just imagine, this is the book and the documentary I was talking about. Just imagine if Chuck D went bling bling. That's kind of how people saw it when they saw MV Bill in this type of video. Okay. Matter of fact, this is MV Bill with Chuck D right here. There's a video. I don't know if I can find it. I had this video years ago. Chuck D and Mos Def, they didn't come at the same time, but they were both in Brazil. Both of them were hanging out with MV Bill. So I'm saying, imagine, I remember in the 1999 Spike Lee film Bamboozled, and the Mos Def character, I think it was Big Black Africa. He was like, you like that bling blinging. It just popped in my mind when I saw this video of MV Bill from 2014. Like, dude, did you sell out? This is MV Bill with Henry Louis Gates in the documentary, The Brazilian Portion of Black and Latin America. I was just talking about Robert Johnson because this is what, what his video reminded me of when I saw it. Like, MV Bill, what are you doing? Anyway, let me stay on focus here. That's just the point of how people are talking about, okay, the commercialism, the consumerism of rap and funk. Consumerism has invaded these music genres that's supposed to be associated with people who come out of lower class communities. And now it's just become, another capitalist venture. I think about what Marcelo D2 says, like, the favela hasn't won. It's still poor. How are you saying the favela won? When he said that, it kind of reminded me of this song. I don't remember what year it came out. Let me see. What was the name of that song? Still Fly by the Big Timers. I mean, I remember it because, it sampled the Gilligan's Island theme. He said, and it just struck me. It was like, I can't pay my rent because all my money spent, but that's okay because I'm still fly. That's basically what this is all about. It's like, okay, you got people coming from lower class, poor environments, and some of them are going to make it out, and then they want to bling. They want to shake it up, toss around some cash. They want to see the women bouncing to the beats and all of that other stuff. But it's like, this is not authentic. Even though you're presenting this image in the video, this is not how most people are living when they come from the favela, or what we'll say the hood. So anyway, this is why I wanted to cover what Marcelo D2 had to say. This funk and rap of ostentatious funk and rap. Bling bling, Brazil's own take on the bling bling era of American hip hop. So anyway, what did you think about today's video? Drop a comment in the comment section. Like this video, share this video, consider sharing or, subscribing to the channel if you've seen more than a few videos that you liked here. Click on that notification bell so that you'll know when I put up a new video. And with that said, I'm going to end this video here and request that you all come back. Check out the next video that I post at Black Brazil Today.